Usually I start the podcast off with something really exciting, but I've been told that Pac has a prepared statement that he'd like to share with you all today.
Well, today's show is the biggest surprises of the season so far, so I felt I'd surprise you guys with something. I have a prepared statement I would like to begin with.
Some nice penmanship you have there, Pac.
I don't know what this
Thank
is
you.
about.
Let me just clear my throat. An apology to the Detroit Red Wings.
No, we're not doing this.
No, let me read the statement.
Also, for the record, speak for yourself.
Yeah, I don't agree with this at all.
Let me read the statement.
Well, I know you don't agree with it, Luca, but I personally have not been nearly as hard on the Red Wings as you guys have been. I've stayed out of it. I'm switching it.
Let me get through the statement. I would like to sincerely apologize to the Detroit Red Wings organization, their loyal fans, Steve Yzerman, and the city of Detroit. Over the past few months, I've made several comments mocking the team's rebuild, downplaying their progress, and Steve Yzerman's overall aptitude as a general manager. I spoke without giving proper respect to their on-ice ability, their development, and the direction this team has been heading toward. The truth is, I underestimated the Red Wings. I failed to recognize their skill, speed, and heart that this roster plays with on a nightly basis, and how they've come under Steve Yzerman's leadership.
And Dylan Larkin's leadership, man.
I never said a bad word about Dylan Larkin. The Red Wings are a well-respected historic hockey club, but their present and future deserve to be portrayed in a much better light, specifically by myself on this podcast. Rebuilding isn't easy, and what this team has accomplished is proof of patience, smart management, and belief in a plan. The Yzer plan.
It's early, man.
This is embarrassing.
My earlier remarks didn't reflect that, and I take full responsibility for it.
Wow,
To the fans
two sides of the paper
who
here.
stuck by their team through every challenge, and to the city of Detroit, a city built on resilience and pride. I owe you an apology for not seeing what you already knew. This team is for real. Thank you.
This is embarrassing. I can't believe we just started. It's been 10 games. Let's relax a little bit here. They do this every year.
It's been 10 games.
They literally do this every year.
I know they're notorious.
They did this
hot
last
starters.
year. They did this the year before.
No. But I was like incredibly harsh of like the Yzer plan is a joke.
It still could be.
Game 1, they lose 5-1 to the Habs. They score a minute in. Larkin sellies like they won Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. They get booed off home ice. McClellan rips the team. Since then, they've been amazing. And
you should have given McClellan more of a shout out, man. Like
yeah,
we've seen multiple coaches go through Detroit, and now like McClellan seems to be the guy that like. Yeah, he held them accountable, and now they've kind of been rolling.
But the team, if you look at the teams they've also beat, every single one of their wins has come against a team that was in the playoffs last year. Like, they've beaten Edmonton. They beat the Leafs twice. They beat St. Louis twice. They were down 4-0 against the Blues on Saturday. They came back and won that game,
What's up with the Blues this year?
We're doing biggest surprises today. We'll get to them. I don't agree with the statement. I don't agree with any of this. It's been 10 games. It's been such a small sample size, and this is what they do every year. I'm still going to disrespect the Detroit Red Wings and their fans. So you heard it here first. You are not getting... You're not getting anything from me. I will say they have played better as far as like I think this is probably a little more sustainable than it has been in years past based on some of the things I'm seeing. But this is the Detroit Red Wings we're talking about. This is far from the franchise that is rooted in tradition and making the playoffs.
Well, they were.
Once
upon a time.
Yeah, and it hasn't been like that for like a decade now.
Listen, I don't want to like completely like bail and be like I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs, but. My point is like
you just talked like they won the cup. You said that the Yzer plan has come to fruition.
It was a prepared statement. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
My publicist and the PR team that we have put this together.
I am staying out of this one.
I know we're going to talk about the Red Wings. Okay, a little spoiler, I guess, for what we're doing here today because we're going over the 9 biggest surprises so far this season. We've each come prepared with 3, not prepared statements like Pac, but we each have 3. Do you want to just talk about Detroit now?
Yeah, we could start with them.
Well, may as well.
I feel like we need a break.
Okay, we need a break.
We need a break? Okay, then
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't have a lot more to say about
I'll start it off.
It was a long prepared statement. Then, Jesse, start us off with one of your surprises because it's not a surprise we're going to be talking about Detroit, and we'll keep those viewers around for a little bit.
The number one biggest surprise of the NHL season so far has, without a doubt, been the play of Winnipeg Jets defenseman Logan Stanley.
We're not doing this. This isn't what we're doing.
That's not what I'm saying, but I need to put some respect on Logan Stanley's name. He has 6 points in 10 games, and he actually relates to what I'm talking about. Keep in mind, guys, we shoot these early in the morning. I thought of my 3 points yesterday, and of course, last night, some things changed as to what I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to stick with them because I think they're still relevant. For me, I think one of my biggest 3 surprises so far is the fact that Connor McDavid hasn't been scoring more goals. I mean, it's not overly surprising. I think he just had like 26 last year, but I don't know. There was just so much talk about McDavid over the offseason. Oh, he looks different this year, feels different, and trust me, I know that the Oilers are a team. They kind of get off to late starts as well, and it's none of this is really going to matter because when the playoffs start in April, people are going to be like, "Oh, who should I take with my number 1 overall pick?" And people are like, "Should I take McDavid?" And like, "Oh, so no, you absolutely take McDavid." I made that mistake last year. He's going to dominate the playoffs. But I'm just saying right now, I just kind of expected there to be a bit more of a fire to him in terms of goal scoring. He has, entering last night, he had less goals on the regular season than Logan Stanley and Ryan Reeves, not combined, each. They each had 2. He had 1 goal going into last night. He had 2 goals, one of which was an empty netter. I just think that if this team is going to really get going and get on his horse, they just need McDavid to start. I want to see that 64 goal score again. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm sure it's coming. I know the Oilers start a little late typically, and that's why it's not overly surprising. But I don't know. I'm just like, McDavid should be a 50 goal scorer year in and year out, no question.
I think I agree with that take. I think there's going to be a day where we kind of zoom out and look at McDavid's career as a whole. And as much as it sucks to say, a lot of times what fans do with players is, you pull up the back of their hockey card, if you want to call it that, and a player's kind of held to what his numbers were in the NHL season, and you look season by season by season. And when you talk McDavid's prime, I think this is a player with how talented he is. You want him to be scoring, like you said, that 50-goal mark, even 40 goals every single year. And I think last year, as good as he was, what did you say, finished with 26 goals?
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people they felt like they were wanting a little bit more than that. It's great that he picks up a lot of points.
I was expecting more. Like, I feel like in the offseason, like you're hearing Leon say like, "Oh yeah, like I've never seen Connor like this. Like, he's got fire in his eyes or whatever." And I'm just like, okay,
that'll come in June. At the end of it, like, I feel like this is an episode that we'll look back on as the season goes and be like, "Oh, it was funny how much stock we put into that." Like people showing up here with prepared statements about the Detroit Red Wings. It's just foolish.
And
right?
he's hit 50 goals once. He's hit more than 50 goals once in his career. Like I just think it's, but like when he did it, it just seemed so easy. When he scored 64 goals. It's like, come on, like start scoring some more goals here. And like the Oilers haven't been particularly great to start the season. Again, I know they're late bloomers and like.
They were dead last that one year, and they fired Jay Woodcroft.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's not that surprising because I think Connor McDavid is kind of established. He's obviously not an insane goal scorer for his specific game, but I don't know. I was kind of expecting more.
It's fair. I can understand that. I mean, it's always kind of shocking not to see his name, like, right at the top of points leader categories as well, and, like, he's at a point per game so far this season. It's not like he's... pace-wise, it's been like lower than that, and like you said, he can score just buckets of goals at will sometimes to make you forget that he had one through his first kind of 10 games. But I think like for Oilers fans and for McDavid alone, I was looking at the power play numbers because I'm like, oh, maybe like that's a correlation of like maybe they haven't been great on the power play. They're like top 5 in the NHL on the power play so far this season, 30%. So like that unit's going to be dangerous. I'm sure he's going to get some more power play markers as the season goes on here. And like you said, these surprises kind of might turn in a week's time, and we 100%. Might be rethinking all of them just like it kind of did last night with McDavid scoring too. It is interesting though when you talk about him as a player, it's like, yeah, he probably is more of a playmaker than we I guess think of in our minds, because you're right. Like he made that 64 goal season look so easy that it was just like, well, he's just going to do this every year.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. And like, that's okay because he can still put up 90 assists a year, and that's more of his game. And when you're playing with Draisaitl and you're just feeding him, who's more of the goal scorer of the two, then that's kind of how that dynamic works. But I don't disagree with you that it's surprising to see that he only has 3 goals so far.
Yeah, and like again, like he's only hit more than 50 goals once in his career. Like it's just, I don't know, just surprising.
It's fair. Do you want to talk Red Wings now? I kind of want to get it out of the way.
Listen, I said what I needed to say. They have been very
Red Wings
good.
fans want more than that.
They're beating good teams. They're resilient. They're coming from behind. They're getting scoring down the lineup. Dylan Larkin is scoring at a rate we've never seen in his career. I think he's really taken that next step as a captain. You got young players stepping up. Edvinsson looks really good. Emmett Finney, we talked about him on last week's show. These are all good storylines, and they're all good things to build on going forward. And I guess if you want a serious comment from me on this team is I've begun to take this team more seriously, and I feel much better about them going forward and into the rest of the season. And I know they've started very strong for a couple years now, and it's kind of fizzled out. But I don't know, something about them just feels a little different. They feel like they figured it out a little bit more, and I think they're also a much deeper team this year, both veterans and young talent.
Mason Appleton now. It's the Mason Appleton.
Yeah, make it about the Jets.
I think this year compared to other years with this Detroit team in particular is, and granted, it's still not great as far as their 5-on-5 play goes, but it's kind of league average now. And I feel like whereas before it was just they were looked at as like these power play merchants that were getting opportunities on the power play, you're loading up that number 1 unit, and they cashed in all the time. And every big moment, they were getting a big power play goal. They were getting a big special teams contribution. And that was what kind of carried them. This year, it seems they're kind of at league average at 5-on-5 play. And that might be enough with a really good power play to get them into the playoffs this time around. I'm still not sold on the goaltending. I'm still not sold on the defense holding up the entire year, but I like what I've seen from Edvinsson particularly, from Sandin Pellikka. They've been good together. They're also very young, and they're going to make mistakes undoubtedly.
Are they going to be buyers at the deadline? Like that's what you got to start.
The question is,
so
have they surprised you so far? And I think the answer is
they
yes.
have surprised me so far. In the sense of that, I think they're a little more real than they are a fluke, which they clearly have been in years past. And they've kind of crashed and burned, as we've seen spectacularly in the past couple of years specifically. So I think that's fair to say. That's fair to say.
Maybe Luca needs to release his own statement.
Downfall.
I'm going to be here to revel in the downfall for sure. But I do like what I've seen, and especially from the young guys, because I think that's something when we did the tier list, we kind of underrated their young players coming into this season, like the Kaspers, and I mean, no one saw Emmett Finney coming, but Kasper and Edvinsson and Sandin Pellikka and even Seider. Like, I think that's a guy that won the Calder, and his career trajectory since then has probably been downwards.
Yeah. Still young though. What is he, 23?
He's still super young, and I think he's a much better player than people probably have in their minds. And he's also playing with like Ben Sherratt most of the time, and
Jets legend,
making him look pretty damn good. And he's figuring things out on the defensive end a lot more than he had earlier in his career. So I'll give the Red Wings some credit there.
There you go.
Just a little.
All right, I want to hear your first surprise.
You're gonna hear my first surprise. Okay. Well, a team I'm not gonna give credit to. No, should I negative or positive first? What do you want?
Let's keep it on the negative side. Yeah.
Let's keep it on the negative side. I'm going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be pretty negative with them, and I think people have kind of excused it a little bit, comparing it to last year when Craig Berube took over and saying, oh yeah, they got off to a slow start last year, like this is just what they do. And I don't think that's an excuse. Personally, I think watching this team, they seem very slow, no juice, not very creative outside of like Matthews, Nyes, and JT and Nylander. And again, those are your big 4 players, so like that's fine. But the style of play is just so surprising to me, I think, is how I want to frame the conversation. Because at the end of the day, they thought that like low event hockey and dump and chase and not having mobile active defensemen and replacing Marner with players that give you a little more grit and toughness and speed for dump and chasing in your lineup was the style of play that was going to take them to the next level. And I just don't think it is. I really don't. I'm not convinced that they are a better team philosophy-wise, personnel-wise. I know they're not a better team right now, but if this is the philosophy going forward, I don't even know if this is a playoff team, quite frankly, because Anthony Stolarz now, you're seeing a bit of the and I don't want to say he's a bad goalie, but I think that like he had a really good year last year. I still think the Leafs are a good defending team, but they just don't do a lot. You watch a game and it's kind of just like, we're going to dump and chase and hope that our best players are going to make a good play, and that's going to be it. But like they're getting dominated 5-on-5 against the Calgarys and the Buffaloes of the world. That's not sustainable. You're going to lose a lot of games playing this style of hockey, and it's surprising that this is kind of the hill they want to die on. So that's where my surprise comes in with this team. I think Nyes has been fantastic. I think he's probably been their best player so far this year. But the power play is also a thing where it looks like they're just overworking Matthews and trying to get him to not only enter the puck into the zone, like he's in charge of the zone entries, but if you watch their power play, he's just like circling everywhere. They don't have a quarterback now. Like that's a big loss. Marner touched the puck so many times and was so creative with it that I think this void is just not being filled. And even last year when this defensive philosophy came in with Berube, at least you had a guy that could break the mold a little bit. I don't know if they have that guy right now, and I think it's really going to hurt this team in the long term. So that's where I'm at with the Leafs. I don't know. I'm calling crisis personally.
It's very interesting. Obviously, we all live in Toronto. The Jays are all the buzz right now. That's what a lot of people are talking about. But I think in a week's time, when the World Series is over, regardless of how that ends, the Leafs are going to have to face the music, and I think it might not be pretty.
Yeah.
Because they just... I don't want to say right now they're not feared, because they still have a lot of good players, but just looking back to a couple years ago, you'd watch this team, they'd get a power play, they'd get the puck in your team zone, and you're like, oh man, like please get the puck out, get a whistle, ice it, do something, just make this end, because you could feel a goal coming. And I think the way that they've been playing right now feels a little stale. Not necessarily disinterested. I feel like that's too harsh.
Yeah, I don't think
like
it's
the effort's there. Like
I think it's like this is the style they want to play. Like this is how they think they're going to win a cup.
I was really intrigued how they'd come out this year, how they would look without Marner, just because with him, as good as they were in the regular season, it didn't work. And I feel like them parting ways, it kind of needed to happen in the sense that like we've seen enough of it. And now it was like, is strength in numbers going to help you? Are the replacements going to give you more value than just having one star? It's only, 11 games in, but so far, just like they need a spark out there. That's what it feels like.
Couple things. First of all, welcome back, Joseph Wall. And speaking of a spark, I think welcoming him back is probably going to do a lot of great things for the team. You know, like we mentioned about Stolarz, but Stolarz, you're kind of in a situation with the Leafs where it's like, if Wall doesn't come back, you're like, what the hell are we doing with our backup goaltending situation? Like we have, who were they starting again?
Caden Primo.
You're like, this isn't gonna work. Yeah. But now they've got that tandem back. I think they need to get like certain guys going. Like Matthews needs to get going a bit more than what we're used to seeing, and obviously he's adjusting playing without Marner. But I agree, like they've been underwhelming to start the season, but I think it does take time for new teams to kind of gel and click. I do think that this team is going to find its groove at some point in the year. I do think they're a playoff team, personally. I think they'll find a way, but there's definitely cause for concern, and like you got to think they are going to need to make some sort of trade to improve their forward group.
My biggest concern, truthfully, is just like how they play on the back end too. There's just no one outside of Morgan Rielly who's having kind of like a career resurgence that I have seen in a game, just able to at least like carry the puck out of your own zone. Too many times is it up to the forwards to get the puck out, retrieve it if you're kind of dumping it off the boards and out, then get the puck into the zone. Like it's taxing to play hockey that way, and I think you see a lot of teams. And yes, it's hard to find that number one defenseman to do that, but like the Canucks, the Jets, for example, with Josh Morrissey, these guys that can exit the zone cleanly and take that onus off your forward group a little, and also join the rush and start creating a little more so that it's not on everyone to just dump and chase all the time and your forwards are creating all offense. This team is so defensive minded on the back end, outside of, again, a resurgence from Riley, that I think you're just kind of playing shorthanded without being actually shorthanded in that sense.
They need Tanev too.
They need Tanev back for sure. That obviously helps in their own end, but I think you're right. There's just some juice missing from this team, and I don't know where they get it from. But I'm just not convinced that like this is going to be a playoff team right now.
Are Willie and Matthews going to stay on the same line?
I don't know.
Like they just got to get. It just seems like Matthews is not. I mean, not that he's been like bad, but like he's just. I don't know.
Berube's tried everything so far. Like the amount of different line combinations that have played 10 minutes or more is 15 so far this season in 11 games. So like he is trying everything due to some injuries as well. And Scott Laughton still hasn't really he hasn't played at all this season, I don't think yet, right? No. So when he comes back, that's another piece they can add. But
what's their record right now?
I mean, if you're waiting on Scott Laughton, they're 5-4-1 after last night. Yeah. So
the same as the Oilers.
Exactly. But I trust the Oilers' big guys right now ahead of Toronto's, and just their style of play, I think, is a little more promising than what Toronto's showing.
The Oilers are just, let's be honest, they're 5-4-1, but a couple Stuart Skinner tape-to-tape passes to the other team.
I mean,
they're late bloomers.
They still won that game last night.
Yeah,
they start late.
It's true. Hey, it's a long season, but that's kind of what we're thinking for the Leafs right now. Second surprise.
I'm just a little surprised with the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. Like I kind of expected more out of them to start the year. Maybe they weren't necessarily the juggernaut that we've been used to seeing, but they just haven't. They've been very underwhelming to start the year. Of course, before last night, I think they were like 28th in the league in goals for per game for their average, which is like so. And I think now they're 21st. They just beat Nashville, 5-3, which is like not even saying that much, if I'm being honest. But I look at this team and like how they're built, and you know, Brandon Hagel's been so paramount to their success. Coming into last night's game, he had 1 goal to start the season. Like, very bizarre. Kucherov's been good, not like the dominant player we've been used to seeing, same as Brayden Point. The team just hasn't really been scoring as much, and I think that's kind of how this team is built, obviously. And I don't know. Again, like, it's early to start the year, but they just haven't really been a scary team at all. I feel like we're seeing stuff at the beginning of the year saying, like, should John Cooper get fired, which is kind of bizarre.
That's insane.
Which is bizarre. But you just kind of expect more from that Lightning team. I mean, at some point, teams kind of turn the page a little bit. I don't really think that's necessarily the case with the Lightning yet, but they haven't really been as much of a dominant offensive force as we've been used to seeing.
I think in this scenario, and maybe this will sound hypocritical because I was just like, oh, the Leafs, they don't scare me, they don't do this. Why do I feel like Tampa will be one of those teams where in December or January they've got like a 12-game point streak and Kucherov's just on fire and everything's fine and they're back in second place in the Atlantic? Like, I don't feel that worried about Tampa. I don't know. It's just, maybe that's just more gut feeling than actually, I can back it up with this number or whatever. But
the reason
they've just shown me so much over the years.
The reason why probably compared to a team like the Leafs is because their core is like still intact, where like the Leafs obviously went through quite a bit of change, and I agree that like this team, it's a matter of time before they kind of really get rolling. But like, I don't know, like Kucherov 10 points in 8 games to start the year isn't like, I don't know, like Brayden Point 8 points in 10 games. I know like these guys aren't having like bad years, but I just feel like we kind of expected a little more.
I think the biggest issue for them right now is the power play. They're only clicking at 14.3%,
which is so surprising.
5th worst in the NHL. But I will say, like, the Avs were at that percentage before last night, and then they scored 4 power play goals against the Devils. So like that stuff can change quickly. I don't think it's one of those things that like when it does change, this team's going to be scoring like 4 a night for a stretch, like you said, of like 6 games in a row. Kucherov's going to have 20 points in like 12 games and he's going to be in the Art Ross race, and we're just kind of going to be looking at it like, oh, okay, there's the Lightning. So that's one area that if you're looking for that goal scoring, like you said, probably a little snake bitten right now on the power play to the point that...
Which is surprising, though.
It is.
Given all the talent they have up front. Like, why isn't that power play humming? You've like...
It does happen, though.
You have Kucherov, you have Point, you have Gensel, you have like all these unbelievable goal scorers. It's like... I'm sure it will turn around, but I'm like a little surprised that their power play's clicking at a low rate and they're just not scoring more goals.
We've got 5 more surprises left. Let's go to you, Pac, for your next one.
Well, I've been looking a lot at the standings recently. I know we like to say, quote our good friend Glenn Gulutzin, have you checked the standings? And honestly, looking at the NHL standings right now, I've had to really focus in on the year tab on the website to make sure I'm looking at 2025-26. Because the Pittsburgh Penguins are tied for the most points in the NHL right now. They're 7-2-2. That's through 11 games. Evgeny Malkin is tied right up top for the lead in scoring.
16 points in 11
games. He's completely
games.
turned back the clock. And this is the Pittsburgh Penguins that we put in the go get Gavin conversation, that we put in the void conversation, that we really had zero confidence in going into the season. And we talked about how difficult of a job Kyle Dubas was having navigating these Sidney Crosby rumors. And everyone felt like, yeah, Crosby will be out of there by January because of how bad this team's going to be. And you look at some of their underlying numbers. Are they first in the league in shooting percentage while they're 28th in shots on goal? Sure. Is Brazeau and Anthony Mantha scoring at a point per game right now? Metrics that they've never even come close to hitting in their career? Sure. Are Jari and Shilovs, 2 guys who really haven't been top of the league level starters, both got save percentages over 910 and goals against in the 2.3, 2.4 range. They're just giving them great work in between the crease right now. Yes. So all these things are true, and maybe everything's going right for Pittsburgh over a 10-game stretch. But that's not to downplay how great this storyline is. That's not to downplay the narrative and all the talk going into the season. And Crosby coming out with these quotes of like, that's not the hockey I know, when talking about tanking and being bad and potentially having to leave Pittsburgh because he wants to be playing competitively. I love what they're doing right now. It's so, so exciting. And hats off to you, Pittsburgh Penguins. Another big surprise, another area where I can confidently say I was wrong, because I feel like if they were 1-8-2 so far through the season, we probably wouldn't bat an eye, and we probably wouldn't even talk about them as a surprise of like, what's wrong in Pittsburgh?
We'd be talking about how Crosby needs to get the hell out of there. Yeah. But clearly,
maybe they should be buyers.
It's just kind of interesting how, like, for the first time, we got the sense from Sid that, like, maybe he would consider leaving. Like, it didn't seem like it was, I'm not saying that he was going to, but it didn't seem fully out the window, the idea. And as soon as he comes out and says that, the team just starts rolling. Yeah. And also, I think Kyle Dubas actually deserves a lot of credit for drafting Ben Kindle. Because people thought that it may have been a bit of a reach in the draft. He's going to be an amazing player. Like, he's looked unreal. He's got all the tools. He's got size. He's got a wicked shot. He's so smooth, man. Like, when I'm watching this guy, I'm like, he kind of reminds me of Anze Kopitar a little bit. Like, has that ability to slow the game down, make really smart plays. I don't know. That was a lights out pick, and he's been playing with them. I think I could be wrong. I think he's still with the team right now. I don't know if he's getting sent down at all this year, which is kind of rare to see. I don't know if he still can. He's played 9 games, but I think that, like, it's rare to see an 11th overall pick kind of stick up with the team and perform like that. So vibes are high right now in Pittsburgh.
Vibes are high. They could come crashing down, though, like you said. With some of those, the shooting percentage stuff, even if it does, for sure. But it could come crashing down, like, pretty quickly. They're second behind Chicago in PDO, which is shooting percentage and save percentage. So right now everything is going in, and they are getting saves on every shot, and they allow a ton of high danger chances. They also generate them. So, like, you can go into a Penguins game and you know you're going to watch an exciting game.
Night?
Exactly. You're going to watch an exciting game for sure, which at this point, I'll take that if I'm a Pens fan. Because you're probably going to win more than you're going to lose in those games because you've got the Crosbys and the Malkins of the world. And if they're in the hunt, then that's fun. So I'm with you there. It could come crashing down, but who cares if it does? It's going to be fun either way.
Yeah, you got to be just like thrilled right now if you're a Penguins fan. Like you haven't sniffed playoff hockey in a long time, and now your team is right there in the hunt. Like I would be freaking, especially now we're starting to talk about like, are veteran players gonna want to come to Pittsburgh? Maybe like if this team's actually in contention to like help Sid and Malkin win another cup, like they're just an interesting team to watch right now.
They are indeed. I'm gonna talk about a team now on the other end of the PDO stat, and that's the St. Louis Blues. So 5-on-5, they've got the worst shooting percentage and save percentage. And my biggest surprise kind of is Jordan Binnington and his fall off a little bit here, because what is Canada going to do in net for the Olympics? I don't know if it's such a clear-cut conversation as it was last year. Maybe you do just start him and the situation matters a lot, but he is 6th last in goals saved above expected so far this season. Joel Hofer, not much better in 3rd last. But I guess good news for them is the other goalies for Canada that were kind of in contention last year. Sam Montembeault is 2nd last in that category, only behind Linus Ullmark. But I think it opens the door for guys like Logan Thompson, for instance.
Thompson's been great.
It does open the door for a guy like Tristan Jarry, who's having a really strong start to this season. I know it's probably hard to just go against it, but I think from a Blues conversation in general, we viewed this team as kind of a playoff lock. Mm-hmm. And in part because you had that consistency in net, and you were excited about the young players, Kyrou, Thomas in particular, along though with like Neighbors and Broberg and Holloway from what we saw last year. And the shooting percentage for a lot of these guys can go up, and this can average out for sure, and we're having a totally different conversation. But I think the goaltending one is the one that is sticking for me, where it's not as if the team defense has been really bad. It's just the goaltending has not been good enough. And so even if the shooting percentage increases, like they've allowed 5 or more goals in 6 of 10 games this year, that is not going to get anything done for you. And you're probably going to find yourself in the bottom of the standings if the goaltending itself doesn't get better. You can score 4 goals a game, and that's fine. But if you're allowing 5, it's really not going to help you. So I am a little bit shocked that this is how the Blue season is going so far, where you kind of looked at that tandem especially and thought, yeah, it's probably one of the better tandems in hockey, I would say, with Hofer and Binnington. And it has just proven to be an absolute anchor so far this season.
What are they in goals for in the league right now?
Goals for in the league, I'm not sure. They're about average at 5-on-5 though, but like their shooting percentage is not great. So like they don't have anyone averaging a point per game yet, and I think that's going to change. I think we're small sample size so far. But as far as goals against per game, they are only worse than the Sharks. And that is not a kind of company you want to keep.
Only better than the Sharks.
Or only better than the Sharks, sorry. And that's not a company you want to keep right now.
I think as when it comes to the Olympics, I think you got to start Binnington. Like regardless, you just give him the crease, and then if you have a short leash on him, I just think he's done it. Like he was so good in 4 Nations. I think Thompson's also great. I think maybe you start Binnington, but if Binnington's showing that he has some cracks, then you go with Thompson. But I don't know. He's been there. He's been on the biggest stage many times. He's kind of a big player, big moment kind of guy. And I also think that, like, the Blues are another one of those teams that kind of take a little bit to get going, like, similar to the Oilers. And I think,
last year, after 4 Nations, they were so good.
Yeah. They were so good against the Jets in the playoffs. I actually thought they were more of a challenge than the Stars. I've been on record saying that.
I've been on record saying that, and you got blasted for saying that.
I still stick to it.
Stars fans.
I still stick to it. I think the Blues would have put up a better fight against the Oilers as well if they played in the series than the Stars. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I don't know. They're one of those teams, and I think Neighbors is injured right now too, if I'm not mistaken. But I just think that like the Blues are one of those teams that are going to take a little bit to get going. Just kind of seems like it's always their style. But yeah, I don't know. They've been off to a pretty lackluster start for sure.
Third surprise for each of us. Let's start with you, Jess.
You know what? I was going to do another negative surprise and just absolutely bury the New York Rangers and wonder what the heck is going on with
I would have honestly pushed back. Yeah. I think they're going to be fine.
You know what? Like, maybe they will be fine. because it obviously takes time under a new coach as well. I still think that there are some pretty glaring concerns with that team, though. I think Alexis Lafreniere is just like, what's going on with that guy? Like, he's been the most up and down prospect. He's just not really been good this year. Kind of seems actually like he really just had one really good year and then got a bag. But you know what? I'm going to keep things a little positive here, and I'm going to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks. I think this team, regardless of what happens, you know, things could change a lot, obviously, during the regular season, but we're seeing tremendous growth for this organization right now. I think, like, it kind of feels weird saying this because he's still been good, but, like, Connor Bedard has arrived. Like, he's gross. Like, he's got one. He might actually have the best release in the NHL right now. I'm not even kidding. Like, his toe drag release is just disgusting. Chicago's right now like 5-3-2, I think. Like, they've showed a lot of positive growth. I mean, Frank Nazar has been unreal. I think they're getting contributions from a lot of different places in the lineup, and they have a lot of good prospects in their pipeline right now. So if I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, like, I'm feeling pretty damn good about the team right now.
I don't disagree. I think I would caution them.
The shooting percentage, yes.
Well,
they also
not
have
only
guys
that,
who can rip the pill.
Not only that, I'm more talking about, like, Spencer Knight is playing out of his mind right now, and my caution would be to Chicago management to, let's say this sustains for another month, and they're like kind of in the thick of it. I would caution you before making any trades.
I don't think they'll.
I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
No,
I think
they shouldn't. Is what I'm saying. I think, like, if this continues, just enjoy the progress.
No,
that's fine.
I think they know that, but, like, I think that, like, if you actually look at, man, like, this Chicago, you're looking at them, you're like, you look at a team like San Jose, and you kind of expected San Jose to probably be almost a better team maybe before the Sharks. Like, you're like, wow, the Sharks already have some really good young pieces. They have a ton of draft capital. They're going to be good soon. And with Chicago, I'm looking at them, I'm like, okay, this is a slow burn. They're going to get there eventually, but, like, Bedard is starting to enter his great years. You're almost starting to feel like they got to get this guy some help. And, like, you still do kind of feel that way, to be honest. But I don't know. Like, did anyone expect Chicago to be doing what they're doing right now? Again, things can completely turn around, but I think they've just been, you talk about a team that's exceeded expectations maybe more than anyone. Yeah, maybe it's Chicago.
I think this whole year, it's just about seeing progress and seeing building blocks and feeling a lot more confident when you end this year as opposed to how you ended it a year ago. We were talking about them on our preseason show, just like begging them to do something to surround Bedard. Like, how many times have we been saying he can't play with these players? He needs better
Matthews. He needs Marner.
You want the whole Leafs team to move to Chicago. But now, all of a sudden, in the span of 10 games, we feel confident. And a lot of that has to do with, one, Connor Bedard playing a lot better than he's shown so far. And, like, you mentioned how good he's been. His hat trick last night was one of the best hat tricks. Like, every
goal was nasty.
It's like a rip.
Every goal.
So it's
release is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
I think
it's ridiculous.
Confident. Except every time we watch Demidov on the Habs, we're like, man, imagine if he was Bedard's line.
I know.
But
Nazar has also been great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was a lot of questions around his contract when he signed. Like, whoa, this guy's only played like 56 games or something, and they're just giving him like around $7 million. He's been like point per game guy for the team this year. I don't know, there's just a lot of positives to take away from this team. So.
You also mentioned Spencer Knight, Luca, and it's like he's playing out of his mind, but he was also a 12th overall pick. He's 24 years old. Like,
great
maybe
move.
He's turned the corner, and it's like, this is what you want to see from your goal. You can't rely on him as much maybe as they're relying on him right now, night in and night out. And maybe it's something where it's like, hey, we can't just have this guy play 70 times this season. Like, we gotta kind of slow it down.
Some goalies take a while. Like, man, Spencer Knight is 24 years old. Like, that's theoretical. That is probably when some goalies like get their first opportunity to start playing.
Yeah.
I think we'd be talking about the Sharks in a similar sense if they had better goaltending, I guess, is where I'm at with both of these teams, and like Chicago. And I think it's a great start. I think goaltending has masked a lot of their issues so far and has allowed us to feel a little more excited about them, whereas the Sharks, like, they're getting absolutely zero from Askarov. And so we can talk about Celebrini being great, but as a team, from a team perspective, we can look at the Sharks and just be like, oh yeah, they're still the same old Sharks and they have a long way to go. So I think that they're probably closer to being in the same bucket, but I am happy for Chicago fans seeing the progress, at least of, and especially of Bedard, because I feel like you needed a hat trick like that, especially the timing of it was important, because Celebrini is just on this heater right now of all heaters, where he's top 5 in the league in scoring right now in points, and he's been on this incredible run, just got a hat trick at MSG, 5-point night, and
he'll be on Team Canada.
It felt like you needed a Bedard response, and I think it was great to get one just from a good vibes perspective if you're a Chicago fan, because the conversations are not going to go away comparing these two for a long, long time. So I am happy for them in that sense. Last surprise for you, Bach.
Last surprise. Obviously, the Montreal Canadiens have captured a ton of storylines this season. They're off to such a great start. They're near the top of the standings. It feels like every night they find a new dramatic, fun way to win a hockey game. What I want to focus on with this team, though, is what they've got going on in the crease right now. Because I think it's been a huge surprise to say that rookie goaltender Jakub Dobeš is 6-0 with a 1.97 goals against and a .930 save percentage. He leads the league in goals saved above expected. And his counterpart, who Montreal heavily relied on last year, Sam Montembeault, who was with Canada at the Four Nations, kind of showed himself as, a long-term starter for this season, has struggled. He's 2-3. He's got a save of, below 900, 3.81 goals against, and as I mentioned, dead last in goals saved above expected. So it's been two very different sides of the coin in net so far for Montreal. But I think this is a phenomenal, if you even want to call it a problem to have for the Habs, because we've just started to see now Dobeš start 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, which before, a year ago, this guy was a very, very unknown prospect, not very highly touted. He's only 24 years old. Whereas Montembeault was like their guy. But having a good backup was the only reason the Habs made the playoffs last year. Like, Dobeš being able to come in and actually win games, when before that, when they had Caden Primo and they were using just other AHL level goalies, could not get a win on a back-to-back. Couldn't get a win with a backup goalie. This emergence as a rookie for Dobeš has been a huge surprise. The fact that he's actually capturing starter level minutes. And now it goes from, okay, the Habs need a backup that can only play, once every 7 games when the team has a back-to-back.
It's now Montembeault.
No. I don't even think Montembeault's the backup. I think he'll still be the starter. He's going to be very important for this team down the stretch, and I think he'll bounce back. It's just the fact that they have a goalie tandem, which we've seen so many teams, especially in the modern-day NHL, where goalies aren't really playing 65, 70 games anymore. A tandem is very, very important for team success. And I feel like when we talk about Montreal, it's always Caulfield, Suzuki, Demidov, Lane Hudson, Slavkovsky. Nobody's really talking about the fact that they got a 24-year-old late-round draft pick in net named Jakub Dobeš, who's at the top of every single goaltending category right now. And he's looked good.
He's been lights out. They're a fun team right now, the Habs.
Very fun.
What do you think as far as their goaltending situation in general? Is it going to be the reason that this team can get to where they want to get to, or will it end up being a detriment as far as like you look at this team, they've lost in the playoffs in round 1. Is it going to be because of their goaltending, or is it going to be because of their goaltending that they win a round like that? Where do you fall, I guess, on the scale of like,
will it
help
them or hurt them
in general?
It's a good question, because growing up with Carey Price, it was you're only going to win because of your goalie. That's the only way you're going to win, and you're actually going to lose because your roster is lacking in pretty much every other area. And I think the way that they've built this team now is you don't need a goaltender to completely stand on their head. You just need solid play. And I think that's where a tandem is so important, because if one guy's off, you can just clearly go to the other guy. And when you have confidence in both, it's such a valuable asset. So I think this team's not going to win because of goaltending, but I don't think that's going to be.
They're not going to lose because of it either.
It's just like it's perfectly. You have confidence in it.
It's balanced.
Yeah, it's balanced.
Okay.
And I think that's what's working for them right now. Whether their I don't think their expectations this year, like you need to win a Stanley Cup and your goalies are going to be the reason why you're not going to do that. Like this is still.
Dobich has been a very pleasant surprise, man.
Yeah,
Like, no question. The Canadiens have been I don't even know if it's as much of a pleasant. I guess it's kind of surprising to see how good they've been, but they're literally getting contributions from.
They don't have a weak spot. They don't have a fourth line. They don't even have a third line. It's top line and then very good forwards everywhere after.
You got to think, like, if you're a Habs fan, you're just hoping that the Penguins are going to come out flat this year against Sidney Crosby.
You got Kirby Dach. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I've heard some rumors. They were talking last night about apparently Pierre LeBrun was saying he's like the Habs have checked in and made a list of like every center for every team that could become available either before the deadline or like next summer, and they're got all these tabs on people, and he mentioned Kadri.
Yeah, I saw the Kadri talk on TSN.
And the more the Flames lose, the more those talks will probably intensify.
That's a great fit, especially for the playoffs too. Like that'd be so sick.
The Montreal fans would love him too. Like there's not been a player I've been blessed to watch like a lot of great Avalanche players, but man, oh man, when Kadri is on your team, you just love cheering for the guy. Like he is incredible. He's very much in the Brad Marchand mold of like if he's not on your team, you wish he was on your team, and if he is on your team, he is just such a great player. He's so underrated, and he is always in your face. Like the passion that he brings, I think he'd be perfect in Montreal.
Jam. He's
got jam. All right, I'm gonna keep it quick for the last surprise before we get out of here. The Utah Mammoth. I think we in particular thought they were gonna be good. We put them in the playoffs pretty confidently, even after last year where they missed it by about like 7 points. So we were early on them, but I think they've just exceeded even those expectations where people are talking about them now as maybe one of the best teams in the West. I think it's a little early for those talks, but
maybe in the league, man.
Maybe in the league. I can see why they are earning that respect, though, already. And it starts, obviously, with the forwards, that group. And it's not just the top two lines. Like, they have waves of guys. Like, Kevin Stenlund and Tanev and
Jets legends.
Jack McBain and Lawson Krause. Like, these are players in your bottom six that
McBain's good.
are really good.
Yeah.
And I would love those players in my bottom six if I were any team. But then you talk about the high-end talent. And Gunther and Barrett Hayton in particular are people I want to focus on because I think a couple years ago I was probably wrong about them in saying, I don't know what their ceiling is. Are they going to top out at guys that maybe are 50, 60-point players and maybe second to third line contributors for the rest of their career? That was the trajectory. And it's taken a little more time for them, but these guys look like superstars. And Gunther more so than Hayton, I think. But Gunther looks like an absolute star.
One of the best releases in the league.
80 to 90 point guy, like consistent 30 goal scorer is what I see from him. Could be a 40 goal scorer easily. And then you've got Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and Logan Cooley to add in. And you went out and got Peterka, who is seemingly a perfect fit for that line with Cooley and Gunther. You just needed a little more of a playmaker. Cooley is the complete package. I watching him
should have been the first over.
He is so big. He's so physical. He's got a great shot. He's a great playmaker. So skilled for a guy of his size. Yeah. You're getting the goaltending right now, but I also think moves like getting Sergachev and John Marino last year to shore up your defense were really smart and forward-thinking moves. So a lot of credit goes to Utah for how they've built this.
Ryan Smith deserves the credit, an owner.
He does.
You take a lousy run organization from Arizona, you immediately move it to Utah. I think it's gonna become a hotbed for players to want to go and actually play. And I just think that it's amazing what a good owner could do. One thing I will say though is I do agree to an extent that it is surprising, but it almost seemed like a matter of. There kind of seems like there's a bit of a turn in the tide this year in terms of who the best teams in the league are. I don't know. I'm starting to see a little bit. Utah's emerging. Montreal has really emerged as like a true top of the league team.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Stop it,
Pittsburgh.
And
guys.
the Anaheim Ducks have been
These takes are going to look so bad in like a month's
The Anaheim
time.
Ducks have been holding their own. I will say, though, because I think we should talk about, like, we'll wrap things up soon. A couple other surprises. Because, Luca, I'm curious to hear, because, like, I'm just wondering, like, the New York Rangers, I mean, they're a team that, like, they have the talent to turn things around, and it seems like things are kind of just going bad for them, and, like, but I don't know. I feel like this team right now is 31st in the league in goals for per game with just 2.18. They're not winning too many games, and I feel like we're starting to hear chatter about players on their team potentially getting moved. I feel like there's rumors about Panarin potentially getting traded. So I don't know. Like I was kind of expecting, and you know, again, like it takes time under new coaches, and we could hit a stage where the Rangers start to gel more, but I just was kind of expecting a little more. I feel like they've had a lackluster start to the year. They can barely, didn't score on home ice for like the first 3 games. Like, what's up with that?
And they scored
what's up with that?
in the first minute of their 4th game.
So
And then that's the only goal they scored that game.
Yeah.
they're
Just a little tease.
Yeah.
They're top 3 in expected goals for at 5-on-5 and top 6 in expected goals against at 5-on-5. So for that, I'm kind of just like, I'm going to ride with it for a little longer than 10 games before I give up on this team. I think their scorers right now are not scoring, and that's obviously going to be a problem.
Yeah, like again, it's early, but like it's great having a high goals expected or goals for
expected goals. Yeah, for sure. But
like you gotta bury in. I feel like we've seen issues with this team. Like we're starting to see kind of cracks in the foundation of this team. Like they're getting older, and like at what point are the Rangers? You know, unless they do turn things around and like really get on their horse, which of course there's time for, and like they have the talent to get there. But like I'm just kind of like surprised. I'm so underwhelmed by this team. It's like even with those stats, it's like you're 31st in goals for per game. Like that's just not acceptable with the core that they have right now. But again, it takes time under new coaches, so let's give it some time. That just surprises me though.
I definitely want to give it some more time under Mike Sullivan because I still think like Adam Fox has had a really great start to the year still. Shesterkin is in net and he's playing great. So I just want to see it. I want to give it a little more time under Sullivan before I pull any panic buttons with them because based on the process, I'm like, I like what they're doing right now. I just, if it's still like, if we're 30 games in and this is still the conversation, then yeah, like something probably is going wrong and has to change, but they just shut out Vancouver last night. 1-0 win basically with an empty netter. I know Vancouver
kind of sucks.
There's nothing to write home about, but
then they scored 1 goal.
They did.
You know, against like the I don't know.
I think they're better. I think they're better than what their record is right now. I think they're going to score some goals.
It's going
to be okay.
They should be, but like I do think that there are concerns on that team. Like Lafreniere is. What's up with that? Like I don't understand.
You're surprised.
What?
You're surprised.
Oh, for sure. I don't disagree.
3 points in 10 games, is you not? Or 3 points in 10 games.
I don't disagree that there aren't concerns.
I think of course there is there's of course a chance that they turn things around. You got to think they're going to turn things around with that roster, but I'm just saying like through these first 10 or 11 games or whatever, I am surprised that they're not a little better. Like they've just been underwhelming.
That's fair. I would be underwhelmed with the production for sure. Adam Fox leads them in points right now with 9. No forward has more than 7, and that's Panarin. But it looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce back from Zibanejad, which is nice to see after a tough year. As far as putting the puck in the net goes, he's got 4 goals. Taylor Radish somehow has 4 goals too, with 3 of them coming in that one game against the Sharks. But yeah, I think the production's going to pick up here at some point, and we might be looking at this team a little differently.
It better.
I'm happy to wait on them, though, because I feel a lot better on them than I do, truthfully, a team like the Leafs. Like, kind of similar spot record-wise. I believe in the Rangers, truthfully, a little more than I do the Leafs right now.
Yeah, and I think the Metro should be a little more wide open for the Rangers. Like, the Devils have been really good. Carolina's been really good. But, I don't know. I agree. Like, I think the Rangers should be better. That's why it wouldn't necessarily be surprising if they turned it around. I'm just saying, like, through 11 games, if you're a Rangers fan, I would be like, I'm not feeling like that good about the team right now.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure based on where they are right now. I would agree with that. I think we're all surprised out. think that's all we got for.
We got a goal of the week or no?
We can. Sure, let's give you a goal of the week. Let's go to Edmonton, where Stuart Skinner misplays the puck behind the net.
That's our boy.
Once again, like he always does, and gives a gift that ends up on the stick of Barrett Hayden for an easy goal. Well, break this one down, fellas. I mean, Stuart Skinner just putting another one on the highlight reel. I feel so bad.
My breakdown of this is that it's not taking the top spot for me. Because Christian Dvorak, he's just going to sit there all year. Find me a better goal, and I'll find you an AI-generated video, because there's just not. It just doesn't exist.
Z really needs to come back to rein us in on Goal of the Week, because this
Goal of the Week.
This is just going to be a joke of a segment.
It was Z's idea, and it was such. I remember when he explained it. He's like, it's a good way of kind of keeping like a long tally throughout the season.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Tracking the best goals, and we've just turned it into Zach McEwen taking a slap shot and Christian Dvorak tipping a puck into an empty net.
And you know what? That's all it has to be.
What we do. Z is probably surprised.
Zach McEwen with 120 mile per hour slap shot.
Z is absolutely fuming right now watching this. But if you guys enjoyed the Goal of the Week and the podcast, leave a comment, like, subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.